All right, guys, let's do our second makeup lesson. We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday, but then we're going to specifically look at theme and what kind of a question should we expect about theme in poetry and how do we read for that. So here we go. We get a poem. First thing we're going to do, the three read method. First read, what do we understand? So here we go. Getting ready to make my notes. Title, poetry. Sorry, that's not the title. Title, Afternoon on a Hill. Afternoon on a Hill by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Okay, here we go. So what do I know? I will be the gladdest thing under the sun. Okay, so the voice, the narrator, we'll call it the narrator, likes the sun. I will touch 100 flowers and not pick one. Likes flowers, doesn't pick them. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes. Likes the sky. Watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. Okay, that one's a little weird. I'm going to skip that one for right now. And when lights begin to show up from the town, okay, lights begin to show up from the town. Okay, so when the lights turn on, so evening's coming, I will mark which must be mine and then start down. I will mark what, which must be mine. Okay, a little stuck there and then start down. Okay, so she's going down. Okay, so I'm going to go back. That's as much as I got the first time. Okay, not bad. Let's go back. Let's start again and see what else we pick up. Okay, Afternoon on a Hill. Okay, there we go. So now I understand the title. Afternoon on a Hill. The narrator is on a hill. Okay, narrator is on a hill. I will be the gladdest thing under the sun. Okay, so she still loves the sun. I will touch 100 flowers and not pick one. So on the hill, on a sunny day, touching the flowers, I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes. Okay, so now I'm asking, why are her eyes quiet? With quiet eyes. So I'm just going to put that in as a question. Why are her eyes quiet? Is it because the day is quiet? Is it because um, she's at peace? Why are her eyes quiet? Watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. So she loves to watch the wind. And the okay, so the wind's bowing. So the wind watches the wind. She's watching the wind bend the grass. So I'm going to go back and read that one to the punctuation because there's a period there. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes, watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. So she's laying and just watching the wind blowing over the hill. And when lights begin to show up from the town, I will mark which must be mine and then start down. I'm still not sure what she's marking, but I get that she's going to head home. She's going to head home at evening time. And when the lights, oh, that's what she's marking. Okay, so I went back to read it to the punctuation, read the whole thing like a sentence. And when lights begin to show up from the town, I will mark which must be mine. I will mark the light that must be mine and then start down. So she'll look for the light from her house. Okay. So I got it. Two reads. I pretty much understand 80% of this poem. Now, let's do the third read on this one together. So here we go. Third read. Which lines from the poem reflect a lesson that the speaker learned? So let's remember theme. Theme is the message. So even in a poem like this that's just describing an afternoon on a hill, there is something that the poet wants you to learn about that. Okay. So what is the theme? What's the thing that this poet wants you to learn from this? So I'm going to read it a third time to figure out. I'm going to answer this question first. Which theme is explored in the poem? So I'm going to answer the second question first. Which theme is explored in the poem? I will be the gladdest thing under the sun. I will touch 100 flowers and not pick one. So she's definitely just explaining what it's like for her on an afternoon on a hill, but there's got to be something she wants us to understand about that. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes. Watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. So she has quiet eyes. And when lights begin to show up from the town, I will mark which must be mine and then start down. So I would say the theme is going to be something like, well, the subject is this afternoon on a hill. But this afternoon on the hill gives her quiet eyes. So if she's wanting us to learn something from this, we can't learn afternoon on the hill. What can we learn about from her experience on this hill? So maybe quiet eyes means that she's at peace. So I would argue, and theme is arguable, I'm going to argue that the theme of this poem is um, the beauty of nature, because that's what she's describing, brings peace. Now, that's a lesson people can learn. The beauty of nature brings peace. So I want you to remember, and I'm going to type it while I say it, theme has to be put into words that are a lesson people can learn. The beauty of nature is not a theme. It's a subject. It's not a lesson people can learn. It's got to do something. Theme has to have a subject and a verb. It has to do something. It has to want you to learn something or do something. So you can't just say this is about the beauty of nature. You can't just say this is about an afternoon on a hill. What about that? What does she want us to know about that? So the beauty of nature brings peace. So which line, so we answered this one, which theme is explored in the poem? The beauty of nature brings peace. Now, so which lines from the poem reflect that lesson? So notice how they're asking it on Star. Notice you've got this. They ask straight out theme. They ask the word theme. Notice also that they say reflect a lesson. So if they say a lesson, they mean theme, because theme is the message, the lesson that you learn. So the theme is the beauty of nature brings peace, which lines from the poem reflect the lesson that the speaker learns. So which lines from the poem reflect that theme? And I would say the quiet eyes is where I'm getting the peace. So I would say the line that proves this is, here's my text evidence. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes. Because that's where I would come back if I was going to argue with you and say, I believe the theme of this poem is the beauty of nature brings peace. And then you argued back and said, okay, I don't see that at all. Where do you get that? I would have to talk about the line quiet eyes. So that's in my mind, the line that we're using as our evidence. Okay. From the speaker's experience, the reader can learn. That's another example. Look, the reader can learn the message that the reader can learn. It's the same thing. From the speaker's experience, the reader can learn that the beauty of nature brings peace. We've already said that. How does the poet develop the theme of this poem? So what is she doing to show you that? We found text evidence, but over the whole poem, how in the poem is she teaching us that the beauty of nature brings peace? Well, let's see what she does. She describes how glad she is under the sun. She describes the flowers. She describes how watching the cliffs and the clouds and the wind, so the wind's moving the clouds, the wind's moving the grass. She describes what watching the breeze, how that brings peace. She describes that when she sees the light, she sees her home and goes down into her home. So how is she developing the theme? What is the thing you keep hearing me say? Well, you hear me say she describes. What does she describe? She describes the beauty of nature. And then what does she tell you? And she gives you two places that connect that beauty to peace. Okay. First, she uses the phrase quiet eyes to show she is at peace watching the wind. Then she connects her peace to the peace of being at home, because she moves from the hill to finding the lights of her home and heading there. Okay, now look, we could argue about this. You can always argue about poem. But if you get a short answer response, how does the poet develop the theme of the poem? This is the kind of question you're going to get where they expect you to write a paragraph. This is what we want that to look like. Look at that. We wrote 3 complete sentences. And within those sentences, we didn't just drop quotes, we showed you how the quotes helped us. So first she uses the phrase quiet eyes. I didn't quote sentences, I quoted 2 words of the poem. But that is quoted evidence that proves what I said. And look, I gave you how many reasons? I gave you 2 reasons that backed it up. First, the quiet eyes, and then she connects it to the this is paraphrased. I'm telling you what she's doing in my own words. So first I use a direct quote, then I use a paraphrase, and I use 2 different examples of evidence to prove the connection that I made. It doesn't matter that they can argue with you, it matters that you have something to back up your point. This right here is what a short answer response should look like if they give you an open box and say, just answer this, if you have to type sentences, which is coming this year on STAR. All right. So those are the ways that they ask for theme. That's what theme is. Now I'm going to turn this off, and you guys are going to do a couple of very short poems, and I'm going to ask you some of these theme questions on your own. So go on to the last part and do your best. Good luck.